did everybody get that? Well, from the Wilkes-Barre campus, did everyone get that celebration of scholarship in? Okay. What about you?
No, I didn't.
All right, so I'm just
I
asking.
didn't either because I went.
Huh?
Because I went to fill it out and I couldn't. After I got it all the way filled out, I didn't see a submission button. So then I was going to text you to see if we had to like print it out and email it somewhere. But then I saw your announcement saying that you would walk us through it today.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. So we're about to go through it now. Okay. And then also the next, I may be a couple minutes late. I may be a couple minutes late Wednesday, but I'll be on. But I may be on the phone wrapping up a call. So I'll chat. So just be on the lookout for it on the chat. And if a call goes over, then we'll just cancel it. But it shouldn't take too long. Also on next Monday, I actually have to do a walkthrough because my house is going to be. I'm actually closing on my house next Friday, but we have a walkthrough on Monday. So I might just go ahead and just cancel that. That way I'm not rushed around. So I might just cancel next Monday. But I will upload a presentation that I've done, and then y'all can just do a discussion on that. And that's going to count as your participation. Is that fair? I know you're tired of seeing me, so I thought you would like that. Anyway, all right. So our ship. So if you have not done so already, and so if you have not done so already, and you're at the Wilkes-Barre campus, go to sites.psu.edu on WB Scholarship, and then do the COS intent to participate form here. My computer is just on the fritz today. Let me close some of these things out. So then, of course, you just put your name in, Penn State ID, email address, team member names. You're going to put this class in. So you're going to put strategic planning, put a course code in. So B422. So for example, you would put that in, and then you'd put my name, and then down here is where it says submit. So what my daughter's doing right now. You hear my daughter? Kind of. All right. Add. $422. And then it's going to add another, it's going to let you add another name. So put that in, then submit, see if the submit works. Hit submit, then there it goes. All right. So Brittany, because that submit button is grayed out, that might be where you, is that what it was, you think? Was that Brittany or Nikki?
It was
That
me.
wasn't me.
And when
Oh,
I did
Nikki.
it, I'm logging on now because when I first did it, that button wasn't even down there, even grayed out.
Okay.
So I'm
Yeah,
gonna try it now and see if it comes up. But
yeah, just take a quick look.
okay. Okay, now I see where it's coming up grayed out. So I'll fill it out now and submit it.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. So you may ask what, what are you going to talk about in terms of the celebration of scholarship? Are you all doing it individual or doing separate? Or individual or group?
It's me and Carlos, so I'll fill that out on there.
Okay. What about you? Well, Noah, you're doing it in a group with somebody else, right? Because you're not.
Yeah, me and Brittany, but neither of us go to Wilkes-Barre.
All right. What about you, Rachel?
I'm doing it individually.
Okay. I think that yeah, okay. So in terms of the guidelines, you can go through these guidelines here. The templates can either be landscape or portrait. And then the deadline is going to be April 2nd. If there's any issue with the April 2nd deadline, let me know. We could extend that. And then there's also going to be some additional directions that come out in terms of recording, because you're going to create this poster presentation and poster design, and then you're going to have to let me close out my emails because you're gonna get that all day long if this is the case. And then you're gonna have to upload this and then do a Zoom presentation. Okay. So again, there's going to be some additional training that comes out of that, but I'm just having this discussion now for you to sign up on it and for you to start thinking about what you're going to talk about. That way you can start performing your research. And the one thing I want you all to start thinking about is how can this presentation tie into this class and into your goals, for example, right? So what I'm thinking, you can do whatever you want to do, right? But how it would apply to the class is that, and also given that we're going to replace an exam, I think that you need to somehow blend this the strategic marketing aspect to it, right? Now, as I said, there's going to be an award for social justice. There's going to be an award for environmental justice. There's going to be an award for diversity and inclusion. Okay. There's also going to be an award for sustainability. And then there's going to be a general best poster award, right? So if you're not on, because I'm not forcing you down that path. So I mean, if you are an advocate for, sustainability, if you're an advocate for diversity and inclusion, then I would say, okay, how can I blend sustainability, or how can I blend diversity and inclusion into strategic marketing, right? Without greenwashing, without social washing, right? So So that's one thing I would think about. Again, you can do it. You can do whatever you want to do. I'm just telling you I'm just telling you where the rewards are. I'm just telling you where the money's at. But there's going to be some more awards. I think the chancellor is giving out an award for those that are at the Wilkes-Barre campus. And then Noah, did you see the celebration of scholarship at your campus? Have you seen that anywhere?
No, I haven't gotten any emails about it.
Yes, that's straight. We were talking about that during our meeting on Friday. And so I think that all campuses don't do it, but the majority of campuses do. I think, and also if you all are, so who's in this, who's on the Scranton campus? Anybody? Okay. Because we had a discussion and we said that, well, as a matter of fact, this is a small class. So this is a small class. So if you don't think you have it at your campus, submit this. I just wouldn't tell my supply chain class of 40 something people to everyone submit it, because that wouldn't be fair to the Wilkes-Barre students, right? But given that we have a few people here, I'm not forcing you to submit it, but you can submit it here. We just talked about that on Friday. So like, we're not going to like, so let's just say, because we have these shared classes, and if we have 2 or 3 people that's not coming from this campus, we'll let those people can submit as well. Is that fair? You don't have to do it. It's just up to you. All right. So that's the one thing. Like I said, diversity and inclusion, there's an award. Sustainability, there's an award. There's going to be an award for the best poster. All right. And I think for this class, I just encourage you to see how you can take that theme and blend it into strategic marketing. Okay. So before we actually get into our discussion, how would you blend those topics into the strategic marketing? How would you blend sustainability and strategic marketing? Any thoughts? Because
I think the first step would be to look at other companies who have made changes in their organization to help promote the 2 topics you were talking about, and see how that affected their income or foot traffic and things like that, and go from there, like see how they did it and see what works for them. And if something that could work for you, try to implement that as well.
Yep, that's excellent. And on that note, Patagonia and Unilever, they're going to be the top. They're going to be some of the top 2. There are also some organizations. There are a bunch of smaller companies that are doing some amazing things, but it would be interesting to see what you find on B Corps. So B Corps are one thing that you're probably not going to find. Very few people know about them. B Corps. I'm actually applying for my B Corp certification. So if you type in B Corps, that's what I was talking about. So B Corps, essentially, they frame all of their processes, all of their procedures, all of their onboarding, all of their documentation around sustainable practices. Okay, so I'm actually working with a B Corp consultant to get ready to apply for this, because the one drawback that we found is that these B Corps are built for like companies the size of Patagonia, like a multi-million-dollar company, right? But they're not really framed for startups. But but those startups would find the most benefit to this B Corp certification, because now they can frame their processes that don't exist around what the B Corp's looking for, what B Labs are looking for, right? As opposed to a established company, a multinational company, a company that has multiple sites around the world. Now they need to change every single process, all their documentation to meet what B Corp's looking for. That's very difficult, you know. So that's one thing that would be very interesting. An undergraduate student doing research on B Corps, that'd be very interesting. All right, so that's another thing that would be of interest on that thing. And again, how does marketing tie within becoming a B Corp? Strategic marketing ties everything in becoming a B Corp, because so the way federal government works, like government contracts work, because the government doesn't do any work, they contract every single thing they do, right? And there are certain things that are coming out in that some companies won't. They're starting to create diverse suppliers, so veteran-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, right? And they're also looking for certain activities for B Corps. And then there's certain companies who only deal with B Corps, right? So so from a marketing perspective, these B Corps are going to can be a competitive advantage, right? But I'm not going to say it's very difficult to get it, but you have to have your processes in place to get that B Corp certificate. It's not as simple as just studying for an exam and passing it. You know, you have people that come on site and audit your processes, audit your documentation, you know. So let me see here. If I go on B Corp website, I'm not sure if it, yeah, there we go. As I was looking, only 3,800 companies had this B Corp certification. And that sounds like a big number. That is not. Only 3,800 companies across 74 countries. That's not a lot. It's a very small percentage of companies. Yeah, Ben & Jerry's, Cabot, Allbirds. See, I'm seeing a lot about Allbirds recently. I don't know anything about Allbirds, but I'm seeing them. I'm seeing that name pop up a lot in terms of sustainability. I'd be very interested. Lemonade came out of nowhere. Actually on their stock. So they're doing a lot of amazing things. Yeah, I bought Lemonade like 4 months ago. They're being good. They're good to me. I like Lemonade. So yeah, do some research on B Corps. Do some research on the Global Reporting Initiative. So the Global Reporting Initiative is one thing that we do in the area of sustainability. It's where that's what leads to that transparency I've always talked about in your sustainable practices within your organization, because that ties into the marketing for your organization. You know, because I was just in a clubhouse. I was in a clubhouse room last night. I was moderating a clubhouse room, and this individual from, I think he was from London. Yeah, he was from London. And because I was hesitant, was he really from London? Yeah, I know he was from Europe, but he said that they're starting up a fashion company. He said, yeah, we want to go through sustainability because sustainability is trending right now. I said that was the worst thing you could say with me in the room, right? Because you're greenwashing. You just pretty much told everybody you're greenwashing. You're doing it just because it's trending, right? So I got this. I wrote down this company information, but I didn't say anything. I was nice last night. I had a good day. So, but that's the thing, and that ran all over me. We're starting a sustainable fashion company because it's trending. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So that's another thing of whenever you think about that strategic marketing, bring in the aspects of, you know, how do we mitigate the risk of greenwashing, how do we mitigate the risk of social washing. All right. So if you do do your research, and I would say most importantly, do not do a poster on a Patagonia. Don't do a poster on Allbirds. Do a poster on your company. Patagonia is not going to look at your poster and say, "Oh man, this is amazing. I want to hire you." No, but your company will, or your competitor in your community will. Right now, do that research. Do that research on Patagonia. Do that research on Ben and Jerry's. Do the research on B Corps, and say, how can I pluck this stuff out, and how can I create a strategic plan for my company that I work for? Or how do I create a strategic plan for the industry in which I work in? That's where you're going to get the value. You're not going to get the value of researching, of doing a poster on Patagonia. There's thousands of posters out there on Patagonia, right? I'm not going to ding you for it, but you're not going to get any value out of it. Just being honest. Does that make sense? All right. So yeah, anybody. So if you're not on in the WB campus, you can still apply for it. You can apply for those awards because there's not that many people in this class. So we went through the value chain last week. Went through the industry life cycle last week. All right, you got your discussions. Perfect. I gotta text Julie. Does anybody talk to Juliana? I gotta call her. All right. So for this week, we're going to talk about corporate strategy. And I mean, I would say we've been talking about corporate strategy the entire class, right? So now we've already started to reach saturation, and we're like 6 weeks in, 7 weeks in. So all right, so let's talk about this. So how would a corporate strategy be different from a business strategy? This gets a little hairy even in the industry. Any thoughts?
I guess you could say they have two different objectives of a sort. Businesses, like small terms or like small sized businesses, their main objective could be profits, whereas corporations, they're more focused on like their consumer base, who they can influence, engage, and stuff like that. It's more than just profit maximization.
I was actually going to say the opposite. Corporations deal more with shareholders, while small businesses deal more with the community.
Yeah, you can say that. And again, and the reason why I asked that question is because there's no wrong answer. It's how you define it, right? It's how you it's how you define a corporation versus a business, because different people define it differently. So in the portfolio management class, we talk about Unilever a lot. And now look, watch me. All right, here we go. So I would say we refer to this. I say we refer to this caption pretty much every class. So with Unilever, can you see that screen? Can you see that caption? All right. So with Unilever is a corporation, right? So Unilever is going to develop a strategy. And then all of these organizations that Unilever has acquired over the years, they're the business. under that Unilever umbrella, right? So any kind of strategic decision, any kind of strategic marketing decision is going to have a top-down approach. So we're going to develop it at Unilever, and then it's going to flow down to these businesses. It's going to flow down to Ben and Jerry's. It's going to flow down to Klondike. It's going to flow down to Breyers, right? So that's what you have to look at from a corporation level, but not all businesses own own Ben and Jerry's and Breyers and these many companies, right? So how would you translate that corporate strategy, that corporate structure to like a local business, for example? So the corporation is my company, right? And then my businesses could be my departments. You could look at it that way as well, right? It's all in how you view it. Because I couldn't have this structure for my local business in the Wilkes-Barre area. It's impossible. So if you just have a small, a $5 million business, a $5 million small business, I can view that as a corporation. I can operate that as a corporation, and those departments within that business are going to be those business units, if you will, right? So from a strategic marketing perspective, Unilever, the corporation, has this so Unilever is huge on sustainability. So that sustainability vision is at the top, right? And then that sustainability vision then gets blown out to the Ben and Jerry's. They have no problem. They've always been sustainable. Then it gets rolled out to Klondike, Hellman's, Lipton, all these companies, right? And then but I think that one thing that's often overlooked is there's going to be some strategies that had a bottom up approach. So for example, hypothetically, when Unilever acquired Ben and Jerry's, because Ben and Jerry's has always been a sustainable company, because they've been a philanthropic company, and they give away, I forgot how much money they give away. They donate every year. So whenever Unilever's seen that, they say, that's an amazing idea. We're actually going to adopt that at the corporation level. So now all the profits because they found that Ben and Jerry's did this and it was amazing. Now Unilever says, okay, all of our companies are going to do this, right? So you also get a bottom up approach on certain processes. So that's one thing that we look at whenever we look at strategic corporate strategy, I should say. We're also going to look at the growth mechanisms for an organization, and again, marketing is going to be one of the most important ones. And then we're going to talk about synergy, and then we're going to talk about the different degrees of diversification. So let's see if we can get through this today. So from an organizational growth perspective, we always ask the question of, and this is another discussion we have in the portfolio management class, where from a corporate perspective, how much do we want to diversify? Right. So I use a company that I work for called N4, and N4 did not make anything. They came on the scene in like 2006, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and they began buying up companies. Now they grew to a $3 billion company, buying up companies, and then they were acquired 3 years ago for I think 9 billion or something. It was like 9 billion or 12 billion. Doesn't matter. It's still a lot. So, but but they grew to be one of the largest ERP applications just by acquiring companies. But the point is, whenever they acquired companies within the same industry, the enterprise application industry. So the ERP applications run my entire organization, right? To the customer relationship management system. So if you've heard of Salesforce, the HRM applications, if you've heard of Workday, we use Workday here at Penn State. So those types of applications, that's the only companies they used to acquire. They acquired a couple artificial intelligence companies a couple years ago. So they stay in that particular area because they know that line of business, right? Now, if you compare that to GE, so at one time, GE was the most successful company in the world, but then they started to dabble in areas they had no idea about. So GE started acquiring financial services companies. What do they know about that space? They started dabbling in healthcare. What do you know about that space? They actually that was actually very successful for them. I will say that, but they began to go into uncharted territory because they thought that risk reward was good for them, but it actually backfired. And they did terribly. Because they were going into industries that strategy did not work out too well for them. Of going into areas, expanding in areas that they didn't have any idea about. So that's one thing that's very important to consider whenever you're working within an organization. I was in a room last night. With Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone's trying to get into chiropractic and things like that. Come on, Grant. Stay in real estate, man. Stay in real estate, stay in speaking. But the thing is, he may pull it off. You never know. He may pull it off. But whenever I see people like that, I always go back to GE. A chiropractic clinic has absolutely nothing to do with real estate, right? Now, if he was, like, for example, Elon, SpaceX, Tesla, nothing to do with each other, but they require innovation, they require technology. So to me, that's still along the same lines, right? Flamethrowers require innovation. To me, that's along the same lines. But financial services and electronics, no, I don't see it. So that's one thing that I think about when we talk about business strategy. Again, you'll ask other people and they'll say, "Oh, you have this. It's the risk versus reward. It's the risk versus reward. You have to figure it out." Okay. I always say, look at GE. The people who diversified, those different industries they were going into had some relationship. They had some transferability. That's why I was successful, right? So, but venture capitalists, they pull it off all the time, but they hire people that are experts in that industry, and they pay them a lot of money, right? And those people lead that particular arm of the business. So that's one thing a lot of people don't remember, or tend to forget. So again, from a marketing perspective, you want to understand what industry you want to be in. You also want to understand, where's your market at? We talk about this almost in every single class. Based on your industry, you're going to target certain different social media platforms. All your money is not going to be on LinkedIn. All your money is not going to be on Facebook. All your money is not going to be on Instagram. You have to identify that target market. And has anyone worked with Hootsuite? Has anyone heard of it? Let's see here. It's a little pricey, but it's kind of slick. So Hootsuite, there may be other ones out there. I just know Hootsuite because some of my clients used it. Like big corporations use this. So Hootsuite is a platform where you can make one post, right? And then you dictate where that one post blows out to. So this is like a central, this is like it's pretty much centralized. It's pretty much centralized marketing. Okay. So platform, I'm trying to see if it's like a good, see this website. See Hootsuite's marketing's terrible. I can't even get like an infographic. Oh man. So, but anyway, the whole gist of it is, so I can put in a post on Hootsuite, and I can put a post on Hootsuite. There it goes. That's what I'm talking about. So this kind of explains it. So I have my social media accounts, and this one I have 35 social media accounts, right? I can schedule a post, and it blows it out to Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I think TikTok's on here as well. You know, so it's pretty much centralized social media, and everything gets blown out. And you know, for example, so what some of these businesses do is the marketing manager will control like the CEO's. The marketing manager will control the CEO's social media accounts, right? And the VP social media accounts. So the marketing manager will set up all of these social media posts, and they'll schedule them, and then they'll blow them out Monday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, right? So everything is set up, and now you get that, what do you call it? You get that presence on all social media platforms for your organization, right? So now you don't have to manage multiple social media accounts, right? And that's the reason why I just stay on LinkedIn. It's like my Instagram is absolutely terrible. It is absolutely terrible. But I don't deal with. I just deal with LinkedIn, right? So that's one thing I've been looking at with Hootsuite to see if that would be of value. But again, I'm still trying to assess are my people that need consulting services going to be on Instagram or on Twitter? I don't think so. So. But yeah, check out Hootsuite. Oh, they got certifications too. Yeah, Hootsuite Academy, social media education. So that's one thing. That's one thing you could look into. I know a lot of organizations who use Hootsuite. Like I said, it's a little pricey. It's going to depend on what your reach is. All right. Also, so we talked about creating value. All right, so yeah, we'll talk about it. Because this is one topic that a lot of people get hung up on. Like I said, again, even people within the industry. So you have a discussion. So we have discussions of vertical integration versus horizontal integration. And I always like to start out with vertical integration, where vertical integration is where I will acquire different pieces of my supply chain. Okay, so what I mean by that is that I own my supplier base. I own my manufacturing, I own my distribution, I own my retailing, right? So I own all the pieces of my supply chain. So I say that Tesla somewhat does this. You can say that Tesla somewhat does this because Tesla actually owns the building that the batteries are manufactured in. So in their gigafactory in Sparks, Nevada, um, Panasonic actually leases space out from Tesla. Okay, so you can say they have not really own, but they have partial control of their supplier of their supply base. Okay, now of course Tesla owns manufacturing. Okay, they do not outsource, they do not send it to China. Tesla owns it. Okay, now in terms of stocking cars, the distribution, you can say that Tesla controls that. And then of course, Tesla controls the retailing and selling of the cars. So Tesla controls everything within their supply chain, you could say, hypothetically, right? As opposed to Chevrolet. You know, Chevrolet has to get their tires from Michelin, right? They yes, they manufacture those, cars, but they do not do the distribution. They do not hold that inventory because I can go down to a port and I can see all kinds of Chevrolets. I can see all kinds of cars that come from overseas. Those car manufacturers don't own those locations where those cars are being stored. Right. And I would say most importantly, the dealerships are not owned by those car manufacturers. They don't want that overhead, but Tesla does. Tesla wants control over that. Right. So that's the difference between vertical integration, where Tesla controls everything, and then where, you know, Ford pretty much manufactures a car and they're done with it. Okay. Um, horizontal integration goes back to my example of N4, where I'm just going to acquire companies in my particular industry, right? So N4 is a software vendor, right? So I'm acquiring software vendors in the space. So I'm staying on that horizon, right? On that level, as opposed to, I'm trying to think, as opposed to starting a business up where I'm only like doing software selection, for example. That's a different part of this. That's a different part of the process, right? That's going to start bias. That would never work. But all right, Noah, hospitals or rest homes, right? Retirement homes. Sorry, let me get the correct word. Retirement homes. So if Noah's company were to acquire other retirement homes in the Pennsylvania, that would be horizontal integration. If they acquire different retirement homes around the country, that's horizontal integration, right? Now, if the retirement home, if Noah's company wanted to be vertically integrated, then his company would acquire an ambulance company, or they would have a stake in a hospital. That's a different level of supply chain, right? So that would be the example of vertical integration in Noah's case. All right. So anyone want to try that with their company? This one's hairy, but once you get it, it's simple. Anything?
I think in my case, for horizontal, it would be like acquiring other marketing companies.
Yes.
And then for vertical, it could be like acquiring some of our like clientele. So like a restaurant or like
Mhm.
something like that. Okay.
Yeah. And then going up higher, That would be like you acquiring like a Canva, like some kind of design company, like some kind of illustrator. That would be vertical. Because you're probably not going to acquire Canva, but it's like somebody like Canva. That would be it. Like I acquired an illustrator company. I use their products to create these designs, and then I send them to my companies that I acquired, my restaurants that I acquired. All right, that would be vertical integration. All right, anybody else? All right. All right, so the Apple proposal, we already went through that. We talked about that last week. All right, so we do have a part 2. All right, so let's just get through this because we might have a delay for Wednesday. So whenever we talk about corporate strategy, again, I think that Noah did talk about it was somebody. Whenever we talk about the stakeholders and shareholders, right? What's the difference between stakeholders and shareholders? A lot of people get this mixed up. Again, even master students get this mixed up.
Would it be that shareholders own part of the company while stakeholders just have any other investment in the company, like whether it be time or just like startup funds and things like that?
So shareholders are impacted by stakeholders are impacted by the decisions of the organization. Okay. Shareholders do own shares within the company, right? They have equity in the company. They have skin in the game, right? But stakeholders hold a stake in the company. Any decision that's made, they are impacted by that decision. So with that being said, who would be a shareholder for an organization?
The employees.
Yep. Who else?
Investors.
Yep. Who else?
The customer base.
There you go. That's what I was looking for. The customers. The customers are shareholders as well. And one thing I tell students is I'm a stakeholder in every single one of you, right? I'm a stakeholder in your success, right? I'm impacted by the success of you all, and that's what some students, that's why I'm hard on them, right? Your outcomes impacted me. So that's another way to look at it. I always tell people, I say you keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna be working for you one day. So I mean, one of my mentors, one of my greatest mentors at North Carolina A&T undergrad, I got her a job. So you never know, and that's why those relationships you're building right now is very important. You never know how you're gonna impact somebody. Her, because she actually got her PhD from Penn State, and she was down in North Carolina, and her mother's like 30 minutes from State College, and she was in North Carolina teaching at Western Carolina, I think, and she was like, I can't do face to face anymore. I have to do something online, because I to go back and forth from Pennsylvania to North Carolina, so she I said she wanted to work for like an online school or something like that, and I just made a few phone calls, and she got a job at online school. You never know the impacts that you're going to make on someone. That's my story. She made a great impact on me. It was a done deal in like 3 weeks. you know, because of my connections. So you never know what it is, and those connections are very important that you make. So you always have discussion of these mergers and acquisitions, and so I'm also working with another organization where they're a startup. So they're about 6 or 7 months into it, right? And because the supply chain industry is so hot right now because of the pandemic, they have pivoted their plans and approaches to say, we just want to get acquired in like 10 months, right? But if they want to be an acquisition target, how are people going to know about them, right? What's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to go online. They're going to look at their online presence. So now they have to create some kind of marketing strategy around that to make them as appealing as possible, to make them as yummy as possible to these investors, right? So I just had a call, I think Friday, Friday, like around 9 o'clock Friday night, talk about some of this, to talk about some of their information. But again, all marketing is tied to all these types of things from a strategic perspective, you know? And that's another thing where this is actually what I've seen. Like, this is my perception, where you'll see this person like this being like quiet, and then all of a sudden come out of nowhere, and they'll have all these podcasts now, all these podcast episodes. Now you see them on IG. Now you see them on LinkedIn. I'm like, man, this guy was quiet for like 4 years, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's his book. Man, that was brilliant. You know, so it's the same thing from an organization perspective. Same thing from an organizational perspective. But now, I think that the approach is shifting, where as opposed to being a recluse for a number of years, like music artists do this all the time. Like, they'll be a recluse for a number of years, then they'll go on the Letterman show. Well, Jimmy Kimmel, and who's the other guy? He's like my favorite. But anyway, but Jimmy Fallon. But like, they'll hop on the Jimmy Fallon show after being gone for like years and years and years, perform, and then all of a sudden they're back, right? But I think that that's going to go away, because now you have these people on social media that they never go away. They're kind of giving the audience an inside look into the album that they're creating, right? They're giving away everything, right? So it's like, how is that going to be transferable to an organization? That's what I'm thinking. Because now all these people are afraid of IP and intellectual property and things like that. I mean, yes, it's different. That's different than music industry, but from a marketing perspective, how could that work? That's one thing I'm thinking about. It's like, how could you give them a sneak peek into something that you're working on, to keep that hype up, to keep that interest up, and then once they release it, boom, it's crazy. To even my daughter like that. But that's one thing. And again, if you're looking to be an acquisition target, they're gonna look at things like that, right? That's perfect if you're trying to be an acquisition target. So that's one thing. That's one thing that I've been talking a lot about in recent months. I mean, yeah, it's been nuts. But anyway, but you also want to look at your portfolio. So again, we talk about portfolio management in the Wednesday night class, and we want to look at our product. So again, going back to Unilever, going back to the Unilever example, it's like, how do we create a strategic plan for Unilever? So you see that Unilever has these buckets. So they have this ice cream bucket, they have this dried food bucket, they have this, I don't know, drink bucket. I don't even know if that's a drink bucket. I don't know what kind of bucket that is anyway. But then you have the toiletry bucket. You have the bath bucket, I guess. Then you have the hair bucket. So now Unilever, from a strategic perspective, they're saying, okay, what next? What's the next bucket we're going to purchase? Or do we stay in our little bucket lanes? Because we don't want to get too crazy because we're going to end up like GE, right? So if Unilever goes into electronics, that could be a problem because there's not a single thing on here that's electronic, right? It's all consumables. So I'm gonna stay in my first off, I'm gonna stay in my consumable lane. But then second off, Unilever is gonna say, okay, is there a consumable area? Is there a consumable bucket that we're currently not in? Right. So for example, they had all these things, and they said, oh, Close Up and Pepsodent, they're up for sale. Should we get in the toothpaste market? What out here is aligned with toothpaste? We can say soaps, kind of, sort of. Well, we could pull it off. Yeah, let's go. So you have those considerations that have to be discussed within an organization. But yeah, I mean, anything consumable, anything in terms of food, anything, because they really don't have that many beverages in here outside of Lipton. So you could say that they could acquire a drink company and that would go into this bucket here, right? Easily. They deal with Lipton easily. So you have those things to consider. But again, if they go outside of consumables, if they go into like vertical integration. So although they don't deal with packaging, if they acquired a packaging company, that could be huge. But what risk do you see in that? That could be huge. I just not thought of that. That could be huge. What do you think about that one, though?
They just can't screw it up if they do it.
Yeah, true.
It involves more risk, but with higher risk equals more reward.
Yeah. What do you think, Rachel?
I think packaging would make the most sense for them to go into next because they have all of these companies that have specific product packaging. I mean, you see like the popsicle box in the store and you know what it is immediately. So I think that would be the next spot for them to move into.
Yeah, that would be huge. I'm gonna have to see. I'm gonna have to check, see if I can get in Unilever. I can make a bunch of money. So sorry, guys. I love you, but I might be out. I might be going to Unilever. But yeah, that one makes absolute sense. That one makes absolute sense. But if GE went that route, that would make more sense. If you've seen a Unilever trying to compete with Bank of America in financial services, well, that makes sense. Because that's what GE tried to do. That's what GE tried to do. It's like it makes absolutely no sense. Like, is it time? No, it doesn't. Never mind. But yeah, the packaging, although it's completely out of consumables, but packaging also fall into consumables as well. And every single one of those companies would need packaging. But we're out of time. Like I said, I'll be running. I may or may not be running late on Wednesday, but I'll be on the call. But just take a look at your chat, and I'll give you some more information about next Monday. All right. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, if you have not done it yet, do that celebration of scholarship. Even if you're not at the WB campus, and you want to participate and get into some of these prizes, get into some of this money, you can go ahead and submit it. Okay. Any questions? Just send me a text. Have a good day.
YouTube. Bye.
See you.